Howdy, everyone. Hope you guys are having great. What is today? Thursday. Wow. Okay. So a lot's been going on, right? We didn't do a stream last night. I had family over, so they didn't get out until late. By that time, I was already kind of tired. I'm not going to do a live stream at 11 o'clock. So we're going to catch up on some things. We're going to talk about quickly just on the Fed cutting the rates to 50 basis points. Then we also have to talk about, there wasn't any news on the miners yesterday. We do have some news today, which was Hut 8 partnering with Bitmain. We'll talk about that. First, when I saw that, I thought it was actually really good. But then once I started reading the details, I wasn't too happy about it. But we'll get into that. And then what else do we have here? We have a new metric for the miners as well. We'll take a look at that. But Bitcoin did great today because of Fed cuts along with the miners. Hopefully, this is a trend that keeps going forward. But we'll see. Okay. So let's get into all of it. But as first we have to do is go through the full disclosure here. So non-financial advice for entertainment only. Do your own research. Full disclosure below that. Hit the like button, subscribe. Helps me out tremendously. And let's take a look at Bitcoin. What happened today and yesterday actually on Bitcoin, which is kind of nice, right? So yesterday the Fed came out with 50 basis points cut on the interest rate. I was thinking it was going to be 25, which is kind of what they hinted at, but actually they came in at 50. I think they're just more worried about the job market than anything else. They're seeing that is declining faster than they probably would have liked to have seen. So they're trying to stave that off a little bit. They went with 50 basis points cut to then possibly spur the economy again. We're going to have 50 basis points cut now. We may have another 25 basis points cut in the next 6 weeks, I think, when they meet again, and then 6 weeks after that, I believe. So we may be like a 100 basis point cut this year still. We'll see how they do that, but I think that is great news for like risk-on assets, which Bitcoin is, and miners are that way as well. The markets were up today as well, so that was a good sign there. And the good thing is the markets reacted the way they did, I think, is because we are not really in a recession yet. Typically when we have rate cuts is when we get into a recession. So it's more of a reactive instead of a proactive approach from the Fed, it seems like, which is good. I was thinking we might get into a recession sometime in 2026 potentially. But with the rate cuts and the Fed being proactive on this, I think we might be able to get a soft landing through all the inflation that we had, everything else. But time will tell on us whether that's the case or not. I'm hopeful that we don't have a recession, right? Recession is never good. And in a sense, it's good that you kind of cleanse the system out a little bit. You get reevaluation on publicly traded companies and everything else. You get opportunities to buy into them at a lower price at that point as well. So there's some good to it. It's kind of like a little reset at point, but it is a painful reset nonetheless. So I don't wish for that. So I'm hoping that doesn't happen. But obviously the miners did great today for the most part. So did Bitcoin. It was up quite nicely. Bitcoin, when we look at that one, it went up to our 200 simple day moving average here. It touched it and came back down. That to me is a good sign. I think that's healthy, right? If we look at back here where we were, this was back in August on the 8th. We had a huge spike here in Bitcoin. Bitcoin went up 11% on that day. And then what do we do here? We continued to going down. We went back up, and then we finally came back down even below that where we started there. So I like these little smaller gains on Bitcoin as they happen day to day instead of these huge wicks, because at that point you just have too much hopium and everything else, and somebody is going to drag us down further. So I do like these smaller gains here that we've had in the last couple of days at least. And even going back to the prior bottom here that we had, which was, when was that? That was on beginning of the month, pretty much Friday, the 6th of September. And then we started going back up here slightly. We came back down a couple of days. We went back up. I like seeing that much more. So that is all good news there. Bitcoin was up a little bit today. It was up 1.93%. I think it was at one point, it was up like almost 5% on the day, but it came back, like I said. It is now trading between the 200-day moving average and the 100-day moving average. And we did get above our resistance at 63,700, but we came back down as well. So we'll see how Friday plays out for us here tomorrow. And now the miners had a pretty good day as well. They were up more so like towards the middle of the day. Then they started coming back down towards the end of the trading day. But NA was up 2.3. Argo was up 6.7. BitDigital was up 6. BitDeer was down actually 4. I'm surprised by that. Bitfarms was up 3.5. Cypher was up just 1%. Cleanspark up 2. CORZ was actually down 3.4. It had a really good day today as well. It went up quite a bit here. I think it reached a new high here on probably like the 52 weeks. Yeah, since they started trading again after getting out of bankruptcy. So they reached a new high. So I'm guessing this is just profit taking happening here in CORZ on that one. I mean, if you guys bought in back in when they went public again with the regular ticker symbol of CORZ, you would be doing pretty well here, especially if you got in at the bottom here at 345. You'd be up probably, what, 200, 300% on it from the beginning of the year. So that would be really good. Digihost was only up 1.71. DMG up 4.5. Hive was up 4. Hut 8 was up 3.7. IREN was only up 0.91. I was surprised by that. Marathon also 0.7. And now on Mawson was up 2.4. Riot up 0.7% only. Stronghold up 4.6. And Wolf was up even much higher than that. They were up like almost 15%, I think, at one point, 15, 18%. And then they pulled back down. I think there might be some profit taking happening with Wolf as well. Okay, so that's it on those. If we take a look at the Bitcoin network hash rate really quick on this one, this is the 30-day average. It's still kind of trending upwards a little bit. It's at 647 exahash right now. On the 7-day average, if we look at that, it's starting to spike back up here as well as Bitcoin price is going up right now in the last couple of days. So we'll see if we reach a new all-time high. The previous all-time high has been 693 exahash on Bitcoin on the 7-day average. If we look at the 1-day average on it, the high has been as high as 742 exahash. So pretty high. And then we went all the way down to we went all the way down to 495 exahash at one point. So quite a huge swing there on that one. Also looking at what did I want to take a look at here? Bitcoin transaction fees really quick as well. Those are coming up a little bit, 9.87, but still really low compared to where we were just after the halving event. And then this is the hash price for Bitcoin. We peaked today at, 44.2. We're coming down a little bit here now to 43. But that's a lot better than where we were back here at just, 39. So that is definitely an improvement from there. And that's mainly because Bitcoin's going up in price. All right. Next one here is September is looking like it's actually a pretty good month so far, right? It started out pretty bad for us. We were down a couple percentage points, but now we are actually up 6.56% on the month of September. This might be a repeat of what we saw here in 2016. If that is the case, we might see October being up quite substantially here if this follows suit. I mean, we had quite a few Octobers in the past where they had nice gains here, 33, 47, 60%, 39, 27. We had one, a slight gain here in last year, but then we were in a bear market too, or 2022, and 2023 was definitely better for us, 28. So we'll see how September ends on us, but right now it's looking pretty good. And then finally, the story that we do have here on Hut 8 and Bitmain. I thought this was interesting. So Hut 8 and Bitmain expand innovation partnership with the launch of next generation Bitmain miners. The U3S21XEXPH to be the first ASIC miner mass commercialized by Bitmain with direct liquid to chip cooling with the U form factor. So the U form factor fits into the chassis of traditional server racks. So if you think about a server, how does that look? They're usually like a 1U, 2U, 3U, 4U. I don't know if they go up higher than 4Us. 4Us is just like the number of blades you can fit into, like 4 blades into a single server potentially. Hut 8 plans to deploy model in Q2 of 2025 through a 15 exahash, and this is where I got kind of like disappointed, through a hosting deployment with potential transition to self-mining through purchase option. This is where I got disappointed really with it. I thought, Hut 8 has been talking about that they are going to be replacing some of their older machines with newer machines as the time is right, and they've been hinting that the time is getting closer and closer, and they come out with this. This is really disappointing, at least to me it is. I would have wished that they would have went in all in on this, and this kind of would have been a nice breakthrough for them, I think, in their self-mining. But they're doing a hosting with the potential to buy them out. But here's what we have. So the machines are capable of achieving up to 860 terahash at an efficiency of 13 joules per terahash, meaning that they are running at like approximately 11,000 watts. The latest machines are running at like between 3,000 and 5,000 watts, depending on the model and make, whatever you're doing, whether you're using immersion cooling or other things, but somewhere around there. So that's definitely an increase on that. I would have thought they would have been a little bit more efficient. Instead of the 13 joules per terahash, we saw Bitdeer come out with machines, or the roadmap for their machines, where they're getting down to like 5 joules per terahash sometime next year or into 2026 potentially. So this is still probably on the same die size or the chip size that they are currently operating on. It's just they're able to possibly clock them higher because of the direct cooling to chip, maybe. That's the only thing I can think of. And then key advancements here. Technology introduces DLC cooling technology using high-performance computing data centers to a rack-ready form factor for Bitcoin mining. This is actually pretty interesting. So if they can do that, they might be able to mine like Bitcoin and HPC in the same data center, which would be kind of interesting. And then engineering evolution from shoebox ASICs form factor compatible with traditional data centers, rack architecture to U form factor compatible with HPC style architecture that can be deployed at densities of up to 180 kilowatts per rack. And then procurement strong overlap in secondary components with HPC data centers, including racks and cooling systems required for DLC technology, driving the opportunity for greater supply chain synchronization across Bitcoin mining and HPC data centers. Yeah, kind of like I talked about earlier. This might be actually pretty interesting, especially for the companies that are dabbling with Bitcoin mining and HPC. You could build out one data center and then put both of these in there if you wanted to. But still, if you're building out a data center that's going to have HPC, you're probably looking at it like a tier 3. It's costly, it's expensive. But yeah, construction opportunity to apply construction expertise and capabilities across Bitcoin mining and HPC data centers. Okay, yeah, that's basically it. But yeah, I thought this was going to be a really good news story for Hut 8. And the reason I say this is because when we get into next year, right, especially like the second quarter of next year, we might be like 3/4 done with the bull run potentially, whereas historically the bull run would be over sometime in October, November timeframe, maybe even September this time around. We don't know exactly. So they might be missing the boat there, especially if they're waiting that long. If they first get them for hosting and then buy them out, would they be buying out towards the end of the bull run maybe? So that's my concern there. I wish they would have done it where they have just purchased these things out. But that's not their mode of operandi, it seems like. They want to be hosting and managed services. They don't seem to be wanting to mine Bitcoin. I guess they think it's too expensive or something to buy the machines themselves. All right, but that is it. Let's get into our really quick new metric that I have. And this metric comes to me thanks to somebody that's a Patreon member. We discussed on I invited him to a video call. When was it? About a week ago or so. And there's a couple of things that he had in there. And I guess he has expertise in trading and valuation of companies and things like that. And he said there's a couple of other metrics here that I still have to work on. But one of the metrics that he said was using the enterprise value per BTC mined. I thought it was kind of interesting, so I thought we would put that in here as well into our enterprise value. And that kind of gives you what the enterprise value would be per BTC mined, basically, right? So we take the enterprise value like we do with current hash rate and future hash rate and see how things stack up. But now we're looking at the BTC that they mine for, and what are they getting valued on that per enterprise. All right, so I greatly appreciate his feedback on this and time to talk with me about it as well. So looking at just the current hash rate, enterprise value stuff, we can see that Hive is still the most undervalued here as of today. These are the latest numbers that we do have on these guys. I pulled the latest stock number or stock prices for the miners today, and that's kind of what we're getting here. Riot is coming in number 2 here with 54 million, Iris at 70 million, Bitfarms 74, Cleanspark at 77. Right, those seem to be like the most undervalued companies here, and we got TeraWolf still, Core, Bit Digital, and Hut 8 being like highly overvalued along with BitDeer potentially from where they are right now. If we look at their future hash rate growth, what they have going forward, we can see that now Cleanspark and Riot are the two most undervalued for the future hash rate growth, followed by Iris. Hive doesn't have much growth, so I can kind of understand that. Bitfarms also there with 41 million. Then you got Safford 59 along with Marathon. And then you got the ones that are still being overvalued, in my opinion, here is TeraWolf, Core. Core is questionable there. They have a lot of HPC AI. I could kind of see why they're being valued at that. Plus, they could change out their machines going forward. They're still pretty high in the exahash as it is right now. Bit Digital, right, for Bitcoin mining, kind of high on it. But once we get into like the enterprise value per BTC, over here we can see that Hive is still the most undervalued. They're only getting valued 2.12 million per BTC mined per their enterprise. Whereas Bitfarms is at 3.6, Cleanspark also at 3.66, right? Riot 3.94, Iris 4.5. TeraWolf, again, getting huge value for their BTC mining along with Hut 8, Core, Bit Digital. It's kind of the same representation of what their enterprise is a little bit. Not enterprise, hash rate is up top, right? But it's just another metric to kind of show where things stack up here with all these guys. But you can see that the same culprits are coming up here: Iris, Riot, Cleanspark, Bitfarms, and Hive being the least undervalued right now, which leads me to believe eventually in time they will gap up to possibly surpass some of these guys here, especially as they continue to build infrastructure, get hash rate up and running, and then once Bitcoin starts going up, they're going to catch a bit, I think. That's kind of the playbook here. All right, but that is it. Those are all the things I want to talk to you guys about. So we'll get into your guys' Q&A side of things. But as always, my little sales pitch here. Patreon members, my wonderful Patreon members there, help support the channel tremendously. Always want to say thank you to you guys for that, along with the YouTube members. But you can have access to all my spreadsheets and all these graphs and data and everything else for $8 a month. Link for that is in the description down below if you want to join. You might be able to find a couple spots that are still 4 and 5. Okay, so that's it. So let's get into your guys' Q&A side of things, see what you guys have questions on, if anything at all. And yeah, we're back to Q&A. All right. Let's see if we can find some. Okay. All right. So Fred asks, Seb, question for you. HODL strategy, MicroStrategy versus Marathon. Mara has 26,000 Bitcoin HODL. MicroStrategy has 240,000 HODL, more or less 10 to 1. MicroStrategy market cap is 24.5 billion. Mara market cap 4. Is Mara overvalued right now? No, I think Mara is still a little bit undervalued from where they really should be. But a lot of miners are really right now undervalued. There's some miners that I think are overvalued. There might be only a couple, but the rest are still undervalued because of Bitcoin coming down in price. As far as the strategy is concerned for the difference between MicroStrategy and Mara, MicroStrategy does not mine anything. So they are basically, they're using Bitcoin as an arbitrage, I guess you could say. Whereas Mara is mining it. So if a miner is mining it, I would rather see them actually mine it at a profit, where they can mine it at a much lower cost than what the price is for it any given day. Marathon has also bought Bitcoin in the past. They bought Bitcoin back in, I think it was 2022. They bought 4,000 Bitcoin at that point. They held on to it through the bull run of 2021. They held on to it through the bear market of 2022. And they continue to stack on top of it. So I'm not a big fan of companies doing that. I think if you're going to hodl, I would like to see them sell it to then use those funds to further grow their exahash into the future, thus diluting shareholders less. So there's been a couple of companies that have done this. Mara is one of them. Hut 8 is also one of those companies that has also done this, where they just hodl through everything. In the past, at least, recently they're selling more than they have been, or more or equal to what they were actually mining from their self-mining, potentially. Yeah, from their self-mining. But Marathon has been holding everything here recently. They have been selling some, I think it was beginning of this year and late last year as well. But they completely switched on that. They're going full hodl, and they're actually buying Bitcoin now, which to me doesn't really make sense. In the past, it would have made more sense because you didn't have the proxies for Bitcoin. As an investor, you only had the miners potentially, or you had to buy Bitcoin outright, right? Which is kind of scary for some people to have to get the 24 seed phrases and figure out a way to actually store the Bitcoin. And you had the Bitcoin trust as well, right? Those were the kind of on-ramps that you would have to Bitcoin. Now you have the ETFs, you have other things as well. So I just don't see the need as much for the miners to hodl as much as they have been in the past. I think there's a time to hodl, usually before the halving event, after the halving event, and then sell a large portion of it into the bull market to then fund the growth going into the next one. So that's kind of the way I look at it. So I'm not a big fan of that. Right? If you're going to be holding, you might as well just buy MicroStrategy instead of Marathon for that reason, possibly. All right. What else we got here? Let's see. Xing 5000, first like I've caught in a while. Happy to be able to be here. Well, thanks for coming in. Yeah, it's always a pleasure to have you guys in. Carolina says market makers selling premium on CORZ, $12 calls, criminals. They're selling it now, but it's going to be going much higher. Let's see. All the miners topped 1130, then everything went down at the same time. Bunkers. Profit taking, possibly. I'm late. Any word on the Wolf investigation lawsuit news today? I did not see that. Where did that come out? I was looking, well, probably Wolf wouldn't have provided that as a press release. I did not see that. The only thing I saw was, what was it? Was it on Wolf that a class action lawsuit is being levied against somebody. I can't remember if it's Wolf or somebody else. I saw that yesterday, I think. Let's see. Let's see here. 97 says this is a lot of waste heat. You're talking about the 11,000 or 11,000 watts. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's kind of interesting to see how they're going to do that. The chip, cooling the chips directly. Especially, have you seen Asher's tweet? I have not. Let's see if I can find Asher's tweet really quick. Was it from today? If it was from today, we might be able to pull it up, see what he said. Let's see here. Asher. Is he under Asher Gnut? Asher. I don't know if there it is. Okay. I lost it. Where did it go? There it is. CEO had 8 hours ago. Let's see if this is the one you're talking about here. So capable of achieving up to 860 exahash. Expected to show more. I mean, this is just that's hot 8 repost basically. What did he actually tweet? I know number has been waiting for us to show a path towards growth on the Bitcoin mining side of business. This deal not only gives us path towards 20 exahash of self-mining by Q2, but does so in a thoughtful and capital light fashion. I mean, capital light, how is that capital light? If you're going to be hosting those machines, right, they're going to be used machines at that point. I don't know how much of... First of all, I don't even know how much the build-out is going to cost to do that. I'm sure this can be a little bit more expensive than doing regular miners. And then you're still going to be paying, I mean, you may not be paying a premium for those machines, but you're still going to be paying something for them, probably. So I just don't know. Additionally, we believe that this new form factor will be setting the standard of where the industry is heading. More to come. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I'm skeptical. I'll just put it that way on that one. Okay. Hi Seb, it seems the pure play miners are decoupled from BTC. Miners adding HPC are moving high even on rumors. Your thoughts? There's HPC hype right now. That's the only thing that's happening. We need Bitcoin to be up above 75, 80,000 for the miners to really start outperforming. But for the most part, some of the miners today were a little bit, I mean, they're kind of following Bitcoin, but they're not outperforming it in the sense that you would normally see where the miners outperform by at least like, you know, Bitcoin goes up 5%, you would see the miners go up 10%. I think we're still in that range where it's kind of like unknown which way Bitcoin's going to go for some of these people. And that's the reason why I think. Once Bitcoin starts ripping up higher and then getting new all-time highs, that's when miners are going to go, ooh, these guys are actually making a lot of money. So be patient. Yeah, when you're on the edge about where the market is going, do yourself a favor and zoom out. Great thought I had today. CORZ was a rocket and gave it all back, up near 13, down near 11.5. Yeah, but you have to zoom out from where it's came in from, or come from, right? If we look at CORZ really quick here, if you just zoom out on it where it came from, it's done a fantastic job this year, right? If you bought it here recently, okay, even at the top here, you're probably down quite a bit, but then if you wrote it up, you're still up. And that's the same thing for a lot of these miners. If you look at it, who else can you click on here? Somebody that's like a Marathon, it's definitely way down from where it was, but if you zoom out from where it started out here in November of last year, probably still up. It has been a wild ride for sure, but we're still not in like the full on bull run here. You gotta be patient with them. Cleanspark, same thing, right? It peaked at 24, it's coming back down. Miners will eventually do much better. I mean, you got Wolf. If you got into Wolf here recently, even in the past year, just in May or whenever, you're still probably up. If you bought at the peak, yeah, you're probably not doing that well. But if you dollar cost average in, you're going to do really well going forward here. So be patient. Zoom out a lot of times. Hey, so what are the absolute minimum prices that you're willing you will be selling IREN, Bitfarms, and Cleanspark at? That depends on where Bitcoin is, along where we are in the cycle, I guess you could say, right? There's a couple scenarios. What if Bitcoin only goes to, 80,000 this year and goes only to like 100,000 by May of next year or something like that? Where will the miners be at that point? It's tough. We'll have to just keep an eye on things, see where things are going. What about HODL? Kind of talked about HODL a little bit here just a couple minutes ago. I think there's a time and a place to do it, and there's also a time not to do it. But I don't like companies that hodl through the bear market, through the bull run, through the bear market. I mean, they just continue to hodl. That's just crazy to me. If you're going to hodl, do it in the bear market or getting closer to the halving event, into the bull run, and then start selling it towards the peak of the price of Bitcoin. Let's see. 97 says, I have no set selling price on my miners, just going to follow BTC and stock charts for signals of the crypto top. Yeah, same here. I mean, I kind of know where I want to sell, where I'd like to sell, but that doesn't mean that we're going to get there. Let's see. 8K said Rob with Griffin was let go for a cause, but he is remaining on the board of Griffin. 8K. Rob, what do you mean? The CEO there was let go? Did I miss something on that one? They're one of the smaller miners, so I don't really cover them. But yeah, if that's the case, it'd be interesting to find out why. How do you feel about IREN? Looks like they want to sell and move away from Bitcoin mining. I don't think they want to sell the Bitcoin mining side of things. I don't think they want to sell in general. I think they want to sell some of the potential that they have going forward. They have a huge, 1.4 gigawatts potential site in West Texas someplace. I think they're looking at possibilities of selling that for a huge premium from what they paid on it. Making it, but I don't think they want to sell the Bitcoin mining that they do have right now. I think they'd like to get a nice customer for HPC that they control and things like that, but I don't think they're looking to get out of Bitcoin just yet. I mean, yeah, I mean, they got 30 exahash planned for this year, another possibly 10 exahash next year early on to get to 40 exahash. They have huge growth. But yeah, if they can sell it at a nice premium from what they bought it at, might be worth it. Okay. Let's see, Seb, I think bull run will be over by the end of Q1 25, with top being 100 to 120,000. I wouldn't want you to end up holding the bags. LOL. Yeah, neither would I. So we'll have to see where things end up at. See how things are going, but I still think that would be a little low. I could be wrong on it, right? People are calling for Bitcoin to go to 250,000, 300,000 this cycle, if not more. I'll be happy regardless. I'm up on it right now. I will be selling. Regardless where things end up at, I will be selling. I'm not holding bags for another bear market. Let's see. You can start averaging out if you fear an early top. You do not lose too much upside while taking profits. Yeah, exactly. Hive seems like a buy and hold, like the tortoise and the hare, the one on mine, the last block, 1% till the end. Yeah, I think with Bitcoin going up in value, they will go up also. I just wish they would be a little bit more, what's the word I'm looking for? More aggressive and trying to be like the top miner. And they're just happy with being, where they're at, mining the 1%. Let's see. Gary says problem is Mara has a higher cost per coin than almost all other miners and are losing money, so management needs other ways to fool investors to buy it. They're still, I mean, if you look at the cost, they're higher, yes, but I think that they're still able to mine it at a lower cost than spot price. And that will improve, I think, as they get to 50 exahash, basically getting to scale at that point. And if they can buy the other sites that they host in, if they can do that, have more control over it, things would be better for them as well. Let's see. Time to make the most gain was a year ago at the bottom, then hold for 32-ish years. Oh, nobody's holding for 32-ish years. Maybe Bitcoin, yeah, but not the miners. Mars looking at the miners, they'll do great this bull run. I think so too. They have name recognition. They'll definitely pop with Bitcoin popping. LTD, thank you so much. Yeah, hit the like button if you enjoy it. Let's see. Lots of irritation toward Mara and a miner space today. Do you know what that was about? You're talking about the one that was on at 5 o'clock Central Time, 6 o'clock Eastern Time with D.R. Lewis and, gosh, I'm drawing his blank right now. Oh, not Andre. Is it Andre? No. Gosh, I'm sorry. I can't remember his name right now. I'm drawing a blank. But then we were just talking about hodl versus not hodling, and then also buying Bitcoin, right? Talking about that. And a lot of people were of the opinion that, Mara buying Bitcoin now is probably not the best way to go, potentially, because they can mine it at a lower cost. And maybe, I don't know, maybe they just don't know. I mean, I don't know. Maybe they're trying to be like a MicroStrategy. It might work out for them. We don't know. But I think most of the opinions was that it's probably not the best thing to do, maybe. I don't know. Fred says, I joined you on Patreon in January. Best join I have done ever. I appreciate it. Thank you. I try to provide you guys a lot of value for what you guys pay. Hopefully you guys do get a lot of value out of it. Let's see. If we don't get a pump Q4, will you question this bull run? Yes. That is going to be a different bull run, and it could be a prolonged or an extended bull run at that point. I would expect at least to get to between 80 and 100,000 by the end of the year. If we don't, and we only get to like 75, 78,000 or something like that by the end of the year, then I'm starting to think this is going to be a prolonged bull run. Okay, question, if looking for 2x only, what choices would you recommend? Will MicroStrategy be one of them? Yeah, MicroStrategy will be one of them for sure. They should at least do a 2x. I mean, most of the miners will even do 2x, depending where Bitcoin goes. Bitcoin goes at least 2x from where it's at right now. Within the next 12 months, the miners should do at least 2x, if not a little bit higher than that. Okay. We're in the cycle that Bitcoin goes up 5% and then miners less than 2%. Sometimes, yes, but then sometimes the miners also front run Bitcoin where they go up 10, 15% and Bitcoin only goes up 3% or Bitcoin goes down actually. So it's not always the case. It switches around. It's a funny space to be in because it's so hard to tell what the heck is going on. Hi, Seb, good evening. Will Bitfarms go past $3 with Bitcoin at 68,000? What it was in June 17th? 68,000 at $3. It could be, but I'm guessing it won't. And the reason I said is because the dilution has happened more since then. So I don't think we could, unless they really get hash rate up and running quickly here. You're pure BTC miners, lovers, losing your time and money on Cleanspark while Wolf out to the moon in front of your eyes. Why is Wolf going to the moon in front of our eyes? HPC hype, right? But there's still nothing there. And if there isn't anything materialized out of that, that thing is going to go crashing down. So I do hope that they have a HPC play in place. Let's see. Fred Red, nice to know. Just access to the spreadsheets, etc. Elaborate your sales pitch, Seb. Elaborate. You get all this. You guys know. You get all this data that I have on the miners and the spreadsheets and everything else. See, you guys now ready? Wolf, yes. Well, CORZ is ready. Wolf, not yet. I would say that. CORZ has the huge contract. Wolf is a question mark right now as far as what they're going to get. Let's see. Good, you help everyone once, so I wouldn't want you to hold bags. I would rather 3 to 5x than hold the bags. Yeah, for sure. Let's see, any updates on Riot's hostile takeover attempts? What happens if they fail? Well, if they fail, maybe Riot will either hold on to the shares that they have, ride the bull run up a little bit, then start selling. Who knows? Or they could sell everything after the vote in November 6th that we're going to have on this. So we'll see. Ruben says, Hot 8's business model is flawed, and they have done nothing but increase their debt. Yeah, I know. I mean, they're going about it a different way. We'll see if it works out for them. Seems like in the last 6 months, on average, MicroStrategy pumps more than most miners, follows BTC price more closely, and drops less when it drops. There is some truth to that, yes. I will agree with you there. But we've also been in this choppy waters with, let me pull up MicroStrategy here really quick. Where do I have it? I had it down here someplace. MicroStrategy, here it is. Okay, pull that chart up. All right. So you can see, maybe I should put it over Bitcoin here. Let me see. Go to Bitcoin. We'll put MicroStrategy on top of it here. And we'll see how it has performed to MSTR, to Bitcoin over the last year. Okay. So MicroStrategy has been performing at least like a 2x on top of what Bitcoin has here historically. And we're looking at, let's go 1 year out. 1 year. Okay. So as you can see back here, back in November or back in 2023, things were a little bit more closely to each other, right? After the new year, we got the ETFs. things definitely spiked on it, where MicroStrategy was up like 4x on top of where Bitcoin was at one point. Bitcoin's up 132% right now. Bitcoin or MicroStrategy is up 333%. That's more like a 2.5x on it as it is right now. But you can see sometimes it does front run a little bit until it catches back down a little bit here, like we saw back here was only 200% on that one. So it does do well compared to the miners. But I think once Bitcoin starts running up higher, the multiples on the miners will actually improve because they're going to be generating more money. Right now, the miners went through a halving event. Their revenues were cut in half if they weren't growing. So it's just a tough time for the miners currently. Okay. Let's see. Get rid of that. Let's go back to Q&A. All right. Do you really believe Mara will reach goal of 50 exahash by the end of the year? They have fooled you so many times before with their projections. Well, they fooled us, not just me, but everybody. I think they fooled, especially back in, what was it, 2021, 2022, right? But we've learned from that. So they are at 30 some exahash right now, 34, 35 exahash right now. They have 15 exahash to go. They have the infrastructure to get there. Can they get there? I mean, they have all the chances to do it. We'll see if they can do it. But Mara not getting to 50 exahash would not surprise me over what they have done in the past. So I'll just leave it at that. Let's see. Oh, what else we got here? So you're like the stream says, kids and dog need more balls to play with. Yeah, they're actually asleep right now, which is kind of nice. So it's quiet upstairs. Are you worried about the recession fears? I'm not. I don't think we're going to have a recession like within the next year or so. I think if anything, we might get it in 2026. But with the Fed lowering rates, and they're being pretty aggressive here to start, 50 basis points, I think, that's just me, I think that we may get a soft landing and we may not get a recession if things work out. But we'll see. I said MicroStrategy has outperformed all the miners since last year. This time, it also looks safer. What is the odd miners catch up? What are the odds? I don't know what the odds are going to be. I just know historically the miners really do well once we're in a really raging bull run with Bitcoin. And that's kind of what I'm expecting this time around as well. We'll see. I'm not expecting like last marathon, I think got like 8,000% from where the bottom to the top in the bull run. I'm expecting lower numbers, but I'm still expecting to do like from the bottom, somewhere between a 5 to 10x, if not a little bit more, right? But it's not going to be like an 80x, I think what Marathon did last time. Why is Cleanspark down so much? I think it's because of the fears from investors about them adding another 300 million shares to their coffers, basically to dilute later on. I think a lot of investors might have the assumption they're going to use the 300 million in like the next year, which there's no way that's going to happen. I think it's going to happen more like in the next 5 to 7 years, potentially, if not a little bit longer, given their track record of what they've done in the past as well. But I think that's what's kind of kept the stock down a little bit here recently, or dropped it more so than it probably should have. If you had to go in all in either Riot or Bitfarms, what would you? My choice would be Bitfarms, and the reason for that is the operations have always been much better than they have been in Riot. And they're also more diversified. They're not affected by the curtailment that's happening in Texas. So I would go with Bitfarms. I'm surprised IREN isn't doing that good considering their last ER and the last hash rate update. Yeah, I'm a little bit surprised by that. I think it's also, I don't know if it's, remember the short report that came out when they were pretty highly priced. Perfect timed short report on them. I think that also maybe had an impact on it. Was a bunch of bonkers there with the short report, but it is what it is. Let's see here. Hey Seb, wondering why Cleanspark is still sitting around 9 while they've been releasing huge growth plans as of recent and Bitcoin price hovering around the 62. Don't you think they should be much higher than right now? Yeah, I think it's the dilution fear, right? The 300 million that's going to be added, like I said, that's what I think is keeping the stock down right now, possibly unrightfully so. What else we got here? Would you feel different if Mara and Cleanspark tried to buy Bitfarms? I kind of hate Riot a bit, but not sure if it's because I don't hold any Riot. Would be happy with $6 Bitfarms, but $10 does sound super tasty. I wouldn't care who was trying to buy out Bitfarms, as long as the bid to buy them out was, I think, proper, or not. I don't know if proper is the right term, but in line with possible expectations for them. And that's why nobody's gonna really pay that much for them, from where I think they should be valued at, especially with their growth going forward. So to me, it wouldn't really matter with Cleanspark. I think if Cleanspark was going to do it, I'd say they're, overpaying for it. There's no need for that. So I wouldn't be in favor of that. If Mara tried to do it, I'd say the same thing. Same thing like I said with Riot. It's not about Riot buying them out or anybody else. It's just the lowball offer that came in for Bitfarms. And then if somebody tried to buy them out at like $6, $7, it'd be like, okay, that's great as a shoulder of Bitfarms. But then if Cleanspark's trying to buy them, I'm like, you're overpaying on it. I wouldn't be for that either. Let's see. If MicroStrategy can 4x BTC, could miners do more? Historically, the miners have done better. We'll see if this cycle is going to be the same, but I expect it to be the same, where the miners do start pumping once Bitcoin starts going above, 75, 80, 85,000. Let's see. Hi, Seb, did you read BlackRock's white paper? If a war started between Lebanon and Israel, do you think it will have an effect on BTC price? Short term, possibly, like we saw with Russia and Ukraine, right? We saw a dip in Bitcoin, and we saw a dip also in the markets in general. But eventually things kind of level out and start going back up. That's kind of the way I would think it would happen. But we'll see. Hopefully that gets averted. No, we don't need another war. I keep saying that. Why can't people get along? We're all on this little blue pearl spinning in space. Get along. What else we got here? Currently holding CORZ, Bitfarms, Mara, IREN. Thinking of adding Cleanspark. I am out of cash. Oh, well, those are good miners to have. Question. Bitcoin has come up from 58 to 63, whereas the miners haven't moved. Do you think the miner hype is over compared to the last cycle? Thanks. No, I don't think so. I think that we're still in this undetermined space in time with, we don't know which way Bitcoin's going to go, really. And once we get a clear direction of which way it's going to go to the upside, I think at that point they will move. Let's see. Yeah, today MicroStrategy was up 10%, but miners were almost neutral. How do you see this? Sometimes it happens. It happens a lot of times, especially when miners are in this kind of space where we are right now. There were also times where last year the miners were outperforming MicroStrategy a lot. So it does flip every once in a while. I don't take too much into it. Wolf has got to be announcing something soon, right? There has to be a fire HPC deal with all the smoke. Well, one would think, right? But I don't know. You would think they would come up with something relatively soon, because they've been talking about it for a while. They're also not talking about anything adding into their Bitcoin mining side of things as well for hash rate growth. So maybe, I don't know. If they don't come out with something, I think the stock's going to take a hit for it because of it. So hopefully they do have something in place. Cleanspark and IREN at peak 2024 numbers were already 10x from bottom. If we get a normal bull run, they will be way higher than 5 to 10x. Yeah. I mean, if you look at them from the bottom, yes. Yeah, much look at that. Let's see here. Hey, Seb, if Japan raises interest rates tomorrow, do you think the markets will be hit with another carry trade downdraft? Yeah, it's a possibility there. But I think some people also learned on the carry trade, maybe. They're a little wiser on that. Last time they got a little dinged on it, so we'll see. You feel like Bitfarms is lagging hard? I do, and I think it's because Riot's still on there, right? Yeah. Put a price on where Bitfarms should be, because 2 is purely insanity. I think right now Bitfarms, well, I keep saying that they should be like 2x from where they are right now to be fairly valued per exahash growth and all their efficiencies and things like that. Is it possible Cleanspark outgrows Mara by end of year? I know Mara is expected to grow to 50 exahash, but do you think they are going to execute? Well, Cleanspark right now is saying, 37 exahash by the end of the year? It's up from the 32 exahash they were planning to. Marathon's already like 34, 35 right now. I think I think Mara should get at least above 40 exahash by the end of the year. So it will be tough for Mara or for Cleanspark to do that. Question, do you think MicroStrategy is a safer bet? I do think so. MicroStrategy has a huge war chest of Bitcoin on it. So I think, it still follows Bitcoin, but not as wildly as Bitcoin miners do for the most part. So I do think it is a little bit more safer bet. What else we got here? Yeah, guys, even last cycle miners lagged for a bit and Bitcoin ran. Give it a few weeks and miners will catch up. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. Be patient. We've been through this before. Let's see. Are there enough shares available for Cleanspark to buy 19.9% share of Bitfarms? Yeah, possibly, but I don't know. I doubt they're going to be doing that. Let's see. I own 2 of your least favorite miners, Wolf and Riot, and I also own 2 of your most favorite miners, Bitfarms and IREN. Wolf will surprise you, Seb. I hope you're right. Yeah, I'm rooting for all these guys to do well. Historically, I've looked at the operations and things like that. Wolf, I wouldn't say wasn't not like my least favorite. My always concern with Wolf was the debt they had, but they paid the debt off, which was nice to see. They used the ATM to do it, which is great. I said that they should have done that a long time ago. But then having the CEO come out and say, we're not going to be diluting to pay down the debt, but then they still did it, that wasn't a good thing, or at least not a good optic. Never say never, I guess, is the way to go. Will Bitfarms ever do $15 USD? If Bitcoin reaches 150, 200,000, somewhere between there, I think it possibly could. Why is Wolf market cap higher than IREN? Just shows Wolf is overvalued. Wolf is being valued on HPC hype right now. On their Bitcoin mining, they should be much lower. Let's see, big institutions now know something about Wolf. All I see them go up and up, no news at sight. Yeah, but then is that insider trading there? Who knows? Let's see, why Cleanspark proposed a doubling of shares at this time? Why not just doing increments like they have been? This definitely scares a lot of investors in the short term. They're at 250 some million shares. They only have 300 million shares to use, right? So they only have less than 50 million shares to use for further ATMs. And they need to grow, right? As all these miners need to grow. We see Marathon increasing their shares also. I can't remember what Marathon was increasing their shares to. Was it like 800 million shares total? It's in the space. It's going to happen regardless. And you have to look at it. Is it actually accretive to investors? Which I think it is. It took them almost 3 years to use up, 200 and some odd million shares. And they went from basically 100 petahash beginning of January of 2021 to being like the second highest hash rate miner here now, right? And they've only used up 200 some million shares for that. So given what they've done here in 3 years, I would expect them to use up the other 300 million in like 5 to 7 years. It's not going to happen over time. It's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen in like the next 6 months or a year. It's going to happen over the next several years, 5, 7, 8, 10 years, whatever it's going to be, I think. Given that their share price is much higher right now, they have a healthier balance sheet than they ever have before. There's just a lot of good going for them. That's why I look at it as accretive instead of being a detrimental thing to the investors. What else we got here? Let's see. Wolf spiked a month ago on rumors of HPC contract and came back down to bottom. We'll do it again if nothing is announced. Yeah, yeah. Let's see. Tomorrow we'll hit 50 exahash. I've heard Fred talk during the conference last week, and I have confidence. Maybe this time they will actually hit their mark, which would be great. Because they definitely fumbled the ball last time, and they fumbled it hard. Let's see. Bitfarms 10, Cleanspark 45, Cypher 12, realistic price targets, in my opinion, end of year 2025. Okay, those would be really good. Bitfarms, that wouldn't be too far from where I have it. I have it at like $15 to $20. Cleanspark I have a little bit higher, between $65 and like maybe $70, maybe $60 to $70 right now. Cypher, I would think Cypher was going to be like 18 to 20 maybe, but that's pretty close to where I have it. Let's see, did you vote on Cleanspark share increase? If so, what was your vote? I have not voted yet, and I will be voting in favor of it. Do you see miners chopping for the rest of September and starting pumping in October to New Year? Potentially, depending where Bitcoin goes. We're already up for September 6% with Bitcoin. And typically, September is not a great month for Bitcoin, so if we chop here, that would be fine. And then I would like to see definitely a nice run up here in October and November as well. Let's see. BitDigital all-time high was 27 USD. Do you think it can do the same? That's gonna be tough. They're not being valued on their Bitcoin mining. They're not being valued on their HPC business as well. I don't know. They're not growing much on their Bitcoin mining itself. It almost seems like they want to get out of Bitcoin mining and get into HPC more. So I don't know. That might be tough. Has Bitfarms diluted shares to buy Stronghold, or is it going to do it later, or take the dumped shares from Riot later? They're probably going to do it later, I believe. It's going to be all shares when they close on it, so it'll be later on. I think it'll be sometime in Q1 potentially. What video camera do you use? It is great. I use the Sony A6600. I can't remember what the lens is right now. I have to look it up, but it's a really good one. It's like 1.4 aperture, I think it's called. I can't remember. 1.4, so it brings in a lot of light. Let's see here. Ed, super chat. Thank you so much. Thank you, Seb, for what you do. Yeah, you're very welcome. I appreciate it. And I think I've caught up to all your guys' questions here. But yeah, I mean, it's nice to see Bitcoin obviously going up here recently. Where's Bitcoin at right now? What are we trading at? We're up actually a little bit here on Bitcoin. Oh, nice. In the new day. We're up just a little bit. We'll see where it goes, but it's nice to see a couple of days in the green here. That's always nice. I keep saying nice. But we still have a long ways to go, and it's going to be chopping from times to times. We're going to have maybe a nice rally here in October, November. December is going to be interesting. If we look at the historical numbers on December here, December typically is kind of mixed. We've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 red years, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 green years. So, you know, it's going to be a challenging one for that. So December might be down. Miners might be down at that point. January historically is also kind of choppy here. But then February is usually a pretty good month for us. March is also historically been kind of, I guess, okay. I mean, the 2013 172% gain here is kind of skewing things up. But it would be red more or less. April, we should be in the green. May, maybe. So it's going to be choppy after that as well. But we'll see. Because in 2021, when we were going up, we had 14%, 36%, 29%. We were down in April, down in May, down in June. Then July we were up. August we were up. September we were down. And then October we were up. And then October I think we hit our peak there. And then we continued coming down here. Prior to that, 2017, looks like we had February up. April, May, June, July, August were up. And then along with October, November, and December, and then we were coming down here. So that's why I'm saying maybe we might peak in, like, oh gosh, I don't know, in October or September of next year with the miners, if it's a similar cycle. We'll have to see. It's going to be interesting, but be patient. I keep saying this, be patient. If you can, dollar cost average into these guys. They are volatile, crazy volatility in these guys compared to other stocks and everything else. The proxies on Bitcoin. So be prepared for that. You got to have the stomach for it, really, to get through it all. But we'll get through it. We'll be in a much better position at the end of it. We've had some probably bruises, some scratches along the way. But I think we've also going to be a little bit more battle hardened for the next cycle as well. Right? Each cycle, I've been through this now for 2 cycles. Each cycle makes you a little bit more hardened, psychologically at least, when it comes to all these swings that you see in it. Okay, so that's all I got for you guys. Thank you so much for coming in. Tomorrow, we won't do a stream. Tomorrow's Friday. You guys are going to be celebrating Friday, all right, the end of the week. So will I. Unless something major happens, then we will cover it. But I'll let you guys know if that is the case. Otherwise, we'll get into whatever else we have happening on the weekend. On Sunday, we'll do a stream, and then we'll get into the swing of things again next week as well. So hopefully we have a great Friday. And but yeah, have a great weekend, everyone. If I don't see you guys until Sunday, have a great Friday. Enjoy it. Live life to the fullest. You only have one life. All right, I'll see you guys in the next one.